supposedly working. Okay. Okay. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think it's working. Hope you guys can hear us okay. Tonight I'm joined by my husband, gonna help me talk about the more technical stuff. And we put the microphone between the two of us. And hopefully everything's gonna work and that you hear us okay. So yeah, let me turn on tiled. There we go. So I'm gonna start putting some grass here, the right color. And we have some questions prepared. We've written down questions from you guys, so we're gonna go over some of those tonight. Want to say something, honey?
Well, we're ready to get into the questions, but do we have the live audience just yet?
I don't know. And then we should probably wait a few seconds for everybody to gather. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to look to see how many people are. The like count is fluctuating as usual with YouTube. You never know what's going on. Because like, for example, now we have 3 likes. We had more before. It showed a couple of people watching, but like right now it is a mystery. So don't be shy. Comment in the stream if you can hear everything. You should probably write that down. Some of them listen without the audio, watching without the audio, because they might not be able to listen. Let me just type in. Saturday evenings are a bit more quieter for us. Usually Tuesday I get a lot of people. But it's during the week, so we're generally pretty busy with that. Next week, I don't think I will be streaming because I have the Japanese exam to take. So I'll be extra focused on that one. And so I'll be streaming after that. So not next week, the week after that.
So speaking of Japanese exam, now we have one question from previous episodes, and that would be, how many languages do you speak?
So yeah, that's something that I often get asked. Because I just mentioned stuff and people get curious. So, well, I'm fluent in Romanian because I lived in Romania,
So
and
that
in
answers
English.
the question, where are you from?
Of course, English, as you can hear. I mean, at least I think I'm fluent.
So we don't need a meme like, English, do you speak it?
At this time of day, no, but when it's like really early in the morning and I haven't had my tea, it's hard to say that I speak English. It will be hard to believe.
So then Samuel L. Jackson might ask you the question. English? Do you speak it?
Not early. Like early, I don't do any languages or coherent speaking. Oh. I'm not a morning person. I will not mention today at what time we got up. It's the weekend, so we're allowed to sleep in, but it was so comfortable in bed. It was like nice and warm and cozy, and you turned on the other side and keep on sleeping.
Yeah, weekends are good.
Sleeping is nice.
The joys of being an adult.
The few joys you have left.
Remember sleeping during the day was a punishment?
Yeah, I never, I actually don't remember ever being punished that way because my parents were kind of like too busy to keep an eye on me. But I remember with my siblings, I had to make sure that they would go to bed when mom said, so it was more of an issue for them. Like, you sit in bed, go to sleep, or pretend you're sleeping. I don't care. I just don't want to get yelled at by mom. So that was kind of what we
So
did.
now, coming back to the topic of this stream, what program are you using right now?
So right now I'm using Tiled. It's kind of the only program I know that you can do to bin files for StardewValley. The modding in StardewValley is either retextures or adding new features with C#, and the textures have to be PNGs, but when you're working with maps, you kind of have to use to bin files, and I think Tiled is the only one that I know of. I mean, there was the other one, I forgot the name, but it was very bad. Tiled is better. You can add, what do you call them, properties to the tiles, so that's nice.
And is this program only for Stardew Valley, or does it support several tile-based
I
maps
think it
in
does. I think it should, because as far as I know, this existed way before Stardew Valley. What else do I have to add here? I'm gonna switch to...
And this is Photoshop.
Yeah, so I just switched to Photoshop. It's easier for me, because it's a program that I know already, and it has a lot of things like layers. And look at this, Photoshop is glitching out. Do you see? I have holes in my program.
Oh well.
I'm not sure if it's like a graphics card issue. What is it?
No, it's Creative Suite 6 being Creative Suite 6.
Yes, so CS6 has been suspended from support. It's no longer on sale because it was a lifetime license. Now you only have the Creative Cloud, which you have to rent every month. So they don't offer support for CS6, so it's gonna fall apart completely at some point. But
And
look
they
at
didn't
this.
fix it either.
Yeah, they had issues and it was never fixed.
So it's unfinished before being discontinued. Was it sold through Steam Early Access or Greenlight or something like that?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's probably. We're joking, of course, but oh my god, look at this. I have holes in it. I'm still keeping this on the screen so you guys can see. Hi, hello, Twixer. How are you How are you doing? So much for me being able to speak English fluently. So guys, you gotta see this. I have holes in my Photoshop. You can see the background. And now it's fixed. So what I want to do here is make a building that's gonna fit in the style of Trent's fishing building and the beauty salon. We are also good. Tonight I am joined by my husband and he's gonna help me talk about more technical computery coding stuff.
Allegedly. Where and when did you learn how to draw?
So I've been drawing since I was a baby. Like, I think I have some very ugly mermaids from when I was like 4 years old. You can tell they're mermaids because they're stick figures and they have like a fish tail.
Stick figures with fish tail. Okay.
And then I drew traditionally for many years, and then I got into digital when I was 18 because that was when I first got my first graphics card.
Tablet?
Tablet, not graphics card, tablet. It used to be called a graphic tablet, and that was very confusing, so they started calling it just a tablet, I think.
I don't know what they
It
call
was
it.
a Wacom. Wacom Intus 3, and it was too big because I didn't know how they worked. And now I have a medium size, which suits me much better.
So now you have the Pro 4, something like that. 640, something.
It is still an Intus, it's not a Cintiq, and it is Pro called that
Pro
series.
4, something.
No, I don't know if it has
640.
numbers.
Something. H640 something. Ah, well, I can check it out.
Twixer says stickmaids. Yes, they were stickmaids. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've always liked mermaids because I like swimming a lot. So that was kind of it. I didn't always like swimming. It was like I had to be taught how to do that, and I wasn't too happy about it.
Pro 640.
Pro 640?
Something like that. With the Wacom Pro Pen too.
640, you say?
Something. Maybe.
I kind of like this shape more.
Or Pro M. Maybe it's Pro M. Something. Yeah. Well,
You can drop a
looks
link
the
in the
same.
chat. So it's not going to be House of Beauty anymore.
Some pop-up. Okay. I couldn't do anything with the website until I clicked accept cookies, things like that.
I like that the Wacom products are very sturdy. Like the tablet I had since I was 18 is still working today, so that's like 14 years. It's been working. But the new Huyons aren't bad. Like my sister has one and it's doing just fine for what, 5 years? How long has she had it? Do you have any idea?
Long time.
Yeah.
So the one that's called Intuos Pro M right now is the PTH 660, but I remember yours being a 640. Now different years, different model years, they may have changed a bit. So this is the current model of what you have. It looks identical.
So now I'm switching the color so I can just change what I have here from blue to red. And this is something that you don't have in Sprite, which is a graphics program that a lot of people use in order to make pixel art. And as far as I know, Sprite doesn't have this, doesn't handle layers. It says online that it handles Photoshop files, but I've been talking to the guy that's doing the Zuzu downtown mod, and they're using Sprite, they're artists, and they haven't been able to open the files I've sent them, which are Photoshop files, which is too bad, because then I have to separate the layers and send it to them, and it's just extra work. which I mean, it's not a tragedy, but you know, it's annoying because it could have been not an issue.
So now there's a new game coming out called The Haunted Chocolatier.
Oh
Are you
yeah,
excited
yeah,
about
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know if you guys are up to date with the news. I mean, it's been all over the place, but maybe some people missed it. So Concerned Ape, the author of Stardew Valley, he has a new game coming up soon, I hope. I don't think it's gonna come out next year, I'm not sure. I haven't seen any news on that, but it's looks to me like it's pretty done. I don't know. Could be wrong. And it's called The Haunted Chocolatier. It is gonna be more combat based, which is a bit saddening to me because I really love the gardening and fishing in Stardew Valley, so I was wanting more of that, the same. But I can definitely understand why the author is trying something new and is going in another direction. I mean, if I was him, maybe I'd do the same. But as a customer, I'm like, no, I want more of the same. And we're probably maybe gonna get some more updates for Stardew Valley at some point. I know the modding community is gonna be angry that I suggest this, because whenever there's any code changes in Stardew Valley, you're gonna get changes in Smoppy, and then you're gonna get changes in the support mods, and then all the mods that you are using to add new locations and things like that that are dependent on the support mods and on Smoppy. It's like this whole cascade of stuff that's going to happen. It's a nightmare for the programmers.
Well, hope you like dominoes.
Uh, yeah, I mean, for me, because I do only the art, it's not so tragic. But I feel for my no, I shouldn't say compatriots. What is it called? Collaborators, friends. What do you call that? Like a trench mate, or you know, the someone that's suffering with you.
Brothers in arms.
Brothers in arms. Okay, I wasn't remembering how to say that. You're a wonderful assistant. You always like guess what I'm struggling to say.
English. Do you speak it?
You guys should see his face. He's very expressive.
Or maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah, you didn't shave.
No shave November.
Yeah, no shave November. You look like an academic.
I am.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
I
Like,
look the
you
part.
can-
No fake.
Do you guys follow PhD Comics? If you don't, I definitely recommend them. They have a lot of humor regarding this. Like, how can you tell the difference between a homeless person and an academic? Academician? Academician?
Academic.
Academic is the same. English conjugations. Anyway.
Is there a difference?
Considering the salaries, I wouldn't be so sure that is a big financial difference. But there is.
Oh, I pay taxes.
Yeah.
Spot
Painfully.
the difference.
Yeah. Wanted to tell you guys about some fun videos that we have prepared for you in the future now that my husband will hopefully have some more time to help me out. About what computers can you run Stardew Valley on? I mean, I've always found that funny of like, oh, can it run Crisis? Can it run Doom? And I've always wondered, like, can it run Stardew Valley? I mean, one of the biggest advantages of Stardew Valley is that it doesn't require that much, so you have a lot of people able to play it.
Well, should it? It can, but should it? No, on a more serious note, I've already tested something related to the minimum requirements of Stardew Valley, and that is if you try to run it on Windows XP, it does not work, no matter how powerful that computer is. I'm going to test it on Windows Vista, which is the saddest version of Windows, with a sad face on the box. It should have been. Uh, Probably that works. It's the first version that supports DirectX 10, and for some reason StardewValley is bound to DirectX 10. It doesn't use any of its features. It doesn't look like anything that would require DirectX 10, but nevertheless it fails to run on DirectX 9. So that would be interesting, considering that it's mostly a 2D game. If it runs, once I set up Windows Vista for some of my test machines, I will try to see how low can I go until it becomes unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also my curiosity. Now, obviously, there are many other games that are more demanding than Stardew Valley that work fine with Windows XP. We're going to have a look at those too when we will release our videos on the topic of surviving on your grandparents' computers. So yeah, dust it up from the attic and try to game on it, see what you can do. Obviously, there is no computer in a fixed configuration for any specific year, but we'll try to find some components that are representative for that particular period in time that we're analyzing. For that platform, it should make sense. You wouldn't pair, for example, a professional graphics card with an entry-level motherboard or CPU and too little memory. So we'll try to find the best balance and see how that works out. And of course, we'll go ludicrous at some point and do some crazy mismatch with some very modern part shoveled into some very old computer somehow and see what we get out of it. But that will be just for the fun of it. It will not bear any significant use or importance.
That should be fun. What else I wanted to ask you, and I didn't get a chance because I was also working. Maybe explain what Direct 10 is. Direct 10X is.
Oh, so when you want to program a game, you don't want to program the hardware directly. You don't want to be bothered by writing code specific for one particular graphics card, and then if the user has another one, you have to write code for the other one, and so on. And because you don't want to do that, you need to use a sort of middleware, a library that would be between your program and the real hardware itself. So you want what's called an abstraction layer. Something similar to, I want to issue the command, draw me a triangle. I don't care how the video card is supposed to draw the triangle. I just want a triangle at those coordinates, and it's the driver's duty to provide me a triangle at those coordinates. So what I do is, instead of writing code native to the processor on the graphics card, I will call a library. In this case, it's part of a package called Microsoft DirectX, and I have a very standardized set of functions that would accomplish what I want to do. And this way, your video card has to be DirectX some version compatible, meaning that both its processing units and the driver that supports it would know how to take calls from DirectX or from some other libraries like OpenGL or Vulkan or anything else, Metal, whatever may be the case, and convert them into the output that you want. So in short, DirectX is a set of libraries for graphics, sound, used to be also for input and multiplayer components that makes a translation between the game and the real hardware. The game engine uses some version of DirectX or of OpenGL or of Vulkan to produce an output. Uh, you may have heard that some games support, for example, DirectX 12 and Vulkan. Uh, that would be useful for video cards that would be above 7000 series from AMD or 600 series from NVIDIA. Something like an NVIDIA GTX 670, that would be a DirectX 12 compatible card, but it only supports in hardware DirectX 11. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty details, but a video card can have support for a higher version of DirectX that would then get broken up into older instructions and be executed on older hardware. That's not the purpose of our talk, but it is something kind of like an emulation that could be done. Now, different versions of Windows are limited to a specific version of DirectX. For example, Windows 98, Windows Millennium, Windows 2000, and Windows XP, they all top out at DirectX 9C. That's the latest version of DirectX 9 that can be addressed and would provide driver support in those versions of Windows. And Crysis, for example, runs fine on DirectX 9. You would have Half-Life 2 and other quite good looking games that are fine with the DirectX 9.
And StardewValley doesn't work.
StardewValley doesn't work. StardewValley wants a newer version of Windows than Crysis does. And this means that if you ever want to build a retro machine, an old computer, and you want to use Windows XP for some reason, then the newest graphics card that is completely supported and is not wasted on Windows XP would be something along the lines of the NVIDIA 7950, something like that, but more common would be 7800 and the AMD X1000 series, like the X1650, X1950, and I have those AMD cards. At that time it was called ATI. It was before AMD bought Radeon, and I have tested them out in a variety of games. Now, using Windows Vista, you have access to DirectX 10. Obviously, you can still use those older cards, but now, if a game specifically requires full hardware support for DirectX 10, then it would not run on those GPUs. You would need an NVIDIA 8000 series, like 8600, 8800. Those were some very famous video cards, like the 8800 GT, GTX, GTS, and so on. Or the AMD 2000 series, like the very famous 2900 XT and so on. Those were times when technologies evolved quite rapidly and performance would improve year.
What years were we talking about?
So the end of Windows XP and the beginning of Windows Vista, that would mean somewhere around 2007.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2007, I bought my DirectX 10 GPU. That was then it was AMD, so it was no longer ATI, HD 3850, which was great value and great performance. And I really liked that GPU from this perspective of price to performance. It wasn't the absolute fastest, but for the money it cost, it was awesome. Anything more expensive would get you into diminishing returns, so you pay a lot more percentage-wise for the performance that you get. Anything less would start hurting performance a lot more than it saves you money.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very good sweet spot. It was between $150 and $200 that if you spent that amount of money on a video card, you'd get something like the second or third in performance, but at half the price of the first one.
We should
And
talk
that
about,
was pretty good.
you mentioned VGA, what do you call it? Requirements,
Minimum requirements.
minimum requirements, and because I often get people asking me, um, generally it's about mods, like, oh, will it work on this device and that device, and they ask me about mods, but first of all, like, StardewValley has to work on those devices, and people want like to try on some laptops because the mods currently only work on Windows.
PCs.
Yes, I mean Windows and Android and things like that. To my understanding,
Not on console.
yeah, because they have it on console and they see the Ghibli Town mod. And sorry, somebody was writing me in the chat and my eye just flew to it. So people ask me if they can play Stardew Valley, but they don't know what to do because they already bought it on the console and they're thinking of getting a laptop in order to play Stardew Valley.
Now, any new laptop would run Stardew Valley
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
its mods.
yeah, but they
there's no
don't
problem.
always have a laptop.
No, but on the
And-
consoles, there's this problem that due to security, you don't have access to the files on
Yeah,
the console.
that's one thing, and also this big discussion about laptop versus PC. I'm a big
Versus desktop.
yeah. I mean, I think that it's not that expensive to get a somewhat decent PC compared to a spangled new laptop.
Not today, actually. The component prices are
So
so crazy.
I'm behind with the news, because I mean I
Well-
used to look at the prices, and
What makes a PC great is the ability to expand and to upgrade easily. The problem today is that component shortages and price increases have made upgrading your PC or even building your PC from parts pretty expensive compared to previous years.
so buying a crappy laptop would be a better.
Or buying a good laptop.
Well, they don't have the money. Like
the-
they're playing consoles.
The thing is that a large manufacturer, let's throw in some names like Dell, Hewlett Packard, Lenovo, whatever, Asus, they get better deals with the manufacturers of the components that go inside the laptop, like memory, SSD, video cards, and so on, and they don't get scalped on the way by all sorts of speculants like it happens on the component market. And this means that you can get a fairly good laptop in terms of components at a somewhat reasonable price, and it also includes a screen and a keyboard, speakers. So it's not that bad. If you need a computer today, um, especially for gaming, uh, I would definitely consider looking for a laptop, and whatever the future may hold, either hold on to it, upgrade the memory, the storage, whatever you can, or get rid of it, pass it on in the family, sell it, and get a desktop PC or whatever you may want later. But right now, in my opinion, struggling to get a proper desktop PC is a bit pointless. I would go the laptop route and try to survive for 2 years or something on a laptop
Hmm.
before I hit any limitations that would require some upgrade. Now, mods on consoles are not something fundamentally impossible. It's just that the game itself should allow downloading content, like downloading DLCs, but these would be mods that are curated and added there. So far, Stardew Valley, I don't think intends to have any support
I'm sure
for
that
this.
Concerned Ape has thought of this because people have definitely been shouting at him to do it. But I think maybe there's a legal issue between
Well,
the console makers and
you know how
creators.
uh, many games, both on PCs and consoles, are filled with microtransactions and things like that.
Hmm.
There are all sorts of terms and conditions regulating those microtransactions, such as Sony or Microsoft getting their cut from the sales of whatever goes on their platform, and maybe implementing this for free content may not be something that Sony or Microsoft are very happy about.
Hmm.
I don't know what the mess might be there, but if you don't go through their services, you do it on your own, you'd be probably breaching some terms of service that say everything has to go through them, every payment, everything. Uh, so maybe there's some reason like that. Hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, because we've gotten all of the Stardew Valley updates free of charge because Concerned Ape is so awesome and he's been so nice to his fans and the whole community. So uh, I can imagine it was probably a difficult topic for him to deal with and do all of this stuff. I mean, it's really fun and nice to be an artist or programmer and do some cute art that everybody likes, but once you start monetizing it, being a business, like the whole logistical lawyering,
Now,
everything just gets really
there's
complicated.
something I don't know, you might know. Is the multiplayer in Stardew Valley cross-platform compatible?
It is now.
But it wasn't at the beginning.
So at first it was launched on the PC. Everything that was released as an update for the fandom has been firstly for PC, and I think also Stardew Valley. It was right from the start. It was initially only PC, and then it expanded to console. And all of these updates have been by popular request from the fandom. Concerned Ape has been very attentive to the fandom.
Okay, but the point is that someone on their PS4 can play Stardew Valley with someone on an Xbox or on a PC.
From what I understand, yes. I don't think I've ever played with anybody that was on a console, because all of our friends' family are on PC. They play. Also, I think my friends that I played with online, they're all on PC. I think Kairani has a console, but I don't think she has it on a Stardew Valley on her console.
Mhm.
Or if she does, I haven't played with her. I think I played with her from the PC because she was also streaming. And you can't stream from your Switch, as far as I know. I mean,
Well, you can.
but you need extra equipment.
You need an HDMI capture card, and that's it.
But it needs to be connected to your computer.
Some laptop or something, or you have one that's more advanced, like an ATM Mini Pro, but it has to be the Pro, not the Mini, that can stream by itself. We have the Mini at home and the Mini Pro at work. So the Mini at home does not stream by itself. It's only a multiple input capture card.
I see.
A video mixer in that regard. But that's all. While the Pro can stream without the need of a computer. We don't need that. We have plenty of computers.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just extra stress of something not working when I need to go live, so I just don't even want to think about it.
You don't need to worry about Windows updates or things like that.
Yeah, so tell us what happened. Do you want to tell the story because you're better at it than me? A couple of streams previously, like my stream died because I had updates, Windows updates.
Well, that happens a lot now during lockdown. You're on Zoom meetings or other video conferencing or streaming services, and then Windows decides that it will not postpone either downloading and installing the updates or outright restarting your computer in the middle of what you do.
Has that ever happened to you?
Yes, and having multiple screens, if the pop-up with restarting in 15 minutes appears on a secondary screen or third screen that you're not watching because it was something where you just had a folder open or whatever, and you don't notice it, at some point you will get a prompt to save whatever you had open in PowerPoint or Word or whatever. You see the browsers closing and then nice animation with restarting your computer, installing updates, do not turn off your computer, and it stays a lot at something like 24%, like half an hour, and then at 96% it stays another quarter of an hour. So yeah, Windows updates are not fun. Use Linux, folks. You update only when you want to.
Well, I mean, you and I are more computer savvy, I should say. I mean, you definitely are, but even me, compared to grandparents, I'm more computer savvy. So I kind of know the importance of updating your computer, while a lot of people don't, and just if they would be left to do whatever they want.
Wait, I still have my programming books from my grandfather, and they mentioned the importance of upgrading from Fortran 4 to Fortran 77, and the many new features that you get. So yeah, but that was updating your mainframe, not updating your lousy computer.
Yeah, but you have a lot of government employees that like don't care, and then it comes on the news that the IRS has been hacked, the whatever else institutions. We don't have IRS where we are. It's called something else, but it does the same thing.
Death and taxes.
Death and taxes. And then it's like all of our personal data has been lost.
Well, it hasn't happened to you.
No, fortunately not to me. I've heard on the news it was like some poorer countries that were less developed that had really big issues. There were some issues in the US, but it wasn't as severe. I mean, usually it's websites like Patreon or something else like that that deal with a lot of money but aren't like government owned, and they tend to be more hacked than, let's say, the government stuff. Because the government, like, if you hack the government website, they're gonna find you because they want to find you, so they will find you. While Patreon, eh.
Well, right now there's an epidemic also of malware and ransomware. So people back up your data.
Yes.
And RAID is not backup. Always remember that.
Raid?
Rapid, uh,
Ride.
yes,
Ah.
rapid array of independent disks.
Mm-hmm.
No, that is not backup. Backup is on another computer in your house, and that's not a very good backup. So what you should do is have a backup on another computer, a backup on an offline solution, like an external hard drive that you connect, you back up to it, then you disconnect, and you keep it somewhere safe. It's best if you keep it outside of your house in case of any problems,
Like your house
damage,
burning down or getting
flood, or
flooded.
whatever.
Yeah.
Then they don't go away all at the same time. And the problem with backing up on another computer inside your house is that while it is good for a computer failure, it is not good at all for ransomware. Once someone has access to your computer, it has access to the places where you do your backups. Especially the home network is very vulnerable to that. So if you can have some data saved into the cloud with some cloud provider, some data on an external drive that you take away from your house, then you're better protected. And it's not only about the paranoia of being hacked, it's also about losing your modern life, where most your photos are digital, where your work is also mostly digital, so it's all files for documents, receipts, whatever, files for videos, for family photos, and so on. And it's easy to lose them either from user accidental deletion, but also hardware failures and ransomware and hacking.
And that was the PSA. What is
PSA of the day. Well, important files you can even store on USB flash drives if they don't amount to much storage, and USB flash drives are cheap. You can have them in your office desk at work, so save them there, take them away from home. And if you run around with USB flash drives with personal information that you don't want others to see, always use encryption on those flash drives. You may lose them in the subway, you may get a hole in your pocket, whatever. They have sharp ends sometimes, they can punch a hole through. Then you drop them, someone finds them. If they're not encrypted, they will see the information. So if it's something you don't want others to see, your tax returns, whatever, then have those drives encrypted, the drives that you know you're traveling with frequently. And this is because hacking is automatic. It's not that someone has to be very important and specifically targeted for information. Most likely it's some script running on some servers, trying a whole range of IP addresses and trying to find any holes in the security and getting in and doing most damage that they can. So, yeah.
What else we had to talk about?
Well,
As
many
Liz said.
things.
You have the list.
I have the list. How do you find your jobs in the art industry?
Oh yeah. So I do get a lot of questions about that. They're like beginner artists, and they want to be artists as well, professionally. And there's a lot of backlash from the family, and like, oh, get a real job. Um, Being a graphic artist is a real job. You do get paid for it. There's a job market for it. Even if you're an accountant or a lawyer, you have competition. It depends on like how many people are coming out that year out of university, how many already are, um, how many jobs are available. Definitely some things are more how should I say, mandatory than others. Like, for example, you have to have policemen, firemen, doctors, things like that. And you also need to have accountants and lawyers. For example, in Romania, if you want to open certain types of companies that you can have more than, I think, 5 employees or something like that, you are required by law to hire a actual accountant. So
I have no idea. I
yeah,
don't know
so
the legislation for that.
that is one thing. So the thing is that also a lot of people send their kids to be lawyers. So there's a lot of lawyers coming out and accountants every year. So being one is not a guarantee that you'll find employment.
Half of them work at the supermarket.
Yeah, actually, yeah, they do. It's kind of weird to find out that at one of the companies that I was working at as a graphic artist, I was doing all of the advertising for them. I was like joking about how secure it is to be a lawyer, an accountant, and blah blah blah, and parents and societal pressures and all of that. And she turns to me, the accountant lady, and I was like, "It's not really that true." Because she wasn't employed full time there. She was employed at another company that was just sending her around, like pimping her out to other companies. And she would like work 5 hours here, 5 hours there, go through our paperwork, and then go to another company to do the paperwork. While I was employed full time at that company, doing the graphic art for all of the advertising, because they had some little franchises, so it wasn't just one area that I had to do the art for. It was several stores that they had, and I had to do for each of them custom art. Some of them they actually had several companies that were owned by multiple people at the same time. It was just like this weird cross-pollination between businessmen. Like one of them was bragging to me how he started 30 something companies and only 3 of them went bankrupt. And he was like bragging about how his success rate, that he only lost 10% of the companies he started or something like that. But I don't think his math was good. Because if you lost 3 out of 30, oh no, it is 10%. Yeah, 10%. Sorry, I was also remembering some other stories about him. Because his secretary told me that, like, no, those aren't his companies. He has them with somebody else. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that being an artist is not that bad of an idea, but you do have to go to some art schools because it really upgrades your skills in art.
And you have to do it right.
Well, you can tell the difference of someone that is a beginner and someone that's done it before. Like, for example, the kids that I've been teaching art, graphic design for advertising. Like, I always have one that or two that are very good, and the rest are just it looks terrible. and they often feel bad about themselves and they're like, oh, I'm a bad artist, I don't have talent, I don't have this, I don't have that.
But
And
this happens in every field, and
no,
then
wait, let
yeah.
me finish. And then I tell the kids that are good, like, how many more of these posters have you done? Like, what's your experience? And often enough, the ones that are good have already done a lot of posters for school events and things like that, or they have parents that work in the industry and they've been growing up around artistically inclined people, so automatically they're gonna be better than the ones that have just picked up a tablet and have just recently opened Photoshop and they mostly spend their time trying to find out where this button or that button is. So I don't think people should feel discouraged and think that, oh, I don't have a talent and then so I can't do art. It's very much a skill based job. Obviously, the ones that are gonna be like these Da Vinci level geniuses are gonna be the ones that are born with some innate talent, but overall, you just have to get good at it. And you're
By
gonna be,
working.
yeah, and you're gonna be good enough to find employment. It's as simple as that, in my opinion.
Well, that's why I say that if you do something, do it well, do it properly, because otherwise you don't get a job. Let's be serious. Out of all the people that finish law school or accounting, uh, it's only the good ones that can stay in the field and get proper jobs or keep their jobs. You can get the diploma by simply passing all the classes. So
Yeah.
you get a passing grade and you get a diploma, but that doesn't mean you're good. And in the end, it doesn't mean that you will get a job in that field. But if you're good, if you work hard enough, then you also get to connect with other people. They
Yeah,
know
that's very
about you.
important.
Yes. Well, you can't connect if you don't do anything, so that's pretty obvious. And then you get people that get a diploma and are very frustrated that there's no place for them to work at. Well, if you barely got a diploma, nobody wants that. I wouldn't want my surgeon to have barely passed the classes, right? You wouldn't want your car's brake system to be designed by an engineer who barely passed his classes, uh, passed the exams and stuff like that. That makes a big difference between getting a diploma and being good at something and getting employed.
I think it's important to find something that you're passionate about because automatically you're gonna do better at it because you are interested in that subject. Now, I have talked to people that have told me that they don't know what they want, and for them, uh, the desire comes after they try something and they find out what they like. And you know what? That good for them. Our education system doesn't work like that. You have to know what you want and then stick to it. So we have sort of a free education system for those that have good grades, and only the first diploma is free of charge. So if you change your mind that you don't want to be a lawyer and accountant and you want to be a philosopher, then your philosophy degree is you're gonna have to pay for it yourself.
Well, I taught students in the university, and I've had to deal with students that
So you paid in the U.S. You taught in the U.S. We have to
right.
mention this, not in Romania or European Union.
No, and I've had students that were not necessarily knowledgeable of the things that would come, and they would not know the lectures that I would teach them, but they would work hard whatever the course was about. So
Well, considering how much money they had to pay.
well, sure, they wanted, for example, to do medical school. They weren't talented in physics, mathematics, or chemistry, or biology necessarily, but they would do their absolute best to get the top grades.
You know, we have to mention that for medical school in the US, you have to take physics classes, and I think it's for Romania as well.
Yes. Anyway, so there would be those students that, regardless of their talent, would do everything well. They would take everything seriously and maximize the the outcome of whatever needs to be done. And on the other end of the spectrum, you would have students that don't know anything and don't want to know anything and don't bother knowing anything. And if they're lucky, they can barely pass at some point.
Well, their parents were paying for those degrees, so like they couldn't care less. It wasn't
Sure,
a
but in
financial
the
problem
end,
for them.
they do imagine that they are entitled to get the diploma, and not only that they're entitled to get the
Well, I
diploma,
paid for
they're
it.
entitled to a job
Oh,
because they got a diploma,
yeah.
and nobody cares.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. And then there are people in between that would study only the things that they like and would not study well for the others, and then of course it depends on their luck and their interviews and everything if they get jobs or not. But that's the thing about working hard. Not everyone does it, and the ones that don't do not get any job. And you have to understand that at some point you have to make some sacrifices. You have to learn things you don't want to learn, but you have to.
Yeah.
When you start, for example, medical school, you don't actually understand what is required of you when you end the medical school. So you think that automatically getting the diploma, becoming a doctor, you already know everything you need. You don't. And then a big part of being a good doctor, for example, in their cases, would be understanding how to administer treatments, how to calculate the amount of specific medicine and medical substances that need to be administered, and so on. And while you may think that, well, any calculation can be done by a computer, not really. Yeah, I mean, you really need to understand what's going on to know what to calculate. The computer is not a magical machine that you tell, well, I need antibiotic for this person. Tell me, computer, how much antibiotic do I need and which kind. It's
This
not
is
like that.
a misconception for artists as well. Like people assume that we just clap our hands at the computer and art comes out.
Digital artwork.
Yeah, it just comes out. Twitch your nose like that witch. What was her name? Sabrina? No, Sabrina's another one. Samantha. Samantha, yeah. Yeah, she would twitch her nose and magic would happen.
Yeah, this misconception is also about machine learning and artificial intelligence in terms of how you teach the system to understand or to recognize patterns. Well, by itself, it doesn't do anything. You need to develop algorithms and decide what data you want and how you want it structured, categorized, and so on. Anyway, the computer by itself does nothing. It will follow commands, but you need to know what commands you want to issue.
We had, one of the universities that I finished was Film University, and we had a physics exam because we do deal with equipment, so we had to know like frequencies and trying to remember what else we had. Because I'm not dealing with that equipment. It was mostly for the sound designers.
Mm-hmm.
So on the filming, on the video editing part, you don't have that much scary equipment. It's still expensive, like for special effects. But I don't do any special effects. I do graphic art and animation. And for that one, in Romania anyway, because we're so low budget, you're not dealing with that equipment. But I remember when it was for the sound recording equipment, it was just stacks and stacks of black boxes, the different stuff. If you've ever been in a sound studio,
Yes. I have.
yeah, each one of those boxes was like several thousand euros.
And by themselves, they don't do anything.
Yeah, so you need several little boxes. Well, they're not little; they're kind of heavy. So when you pick them up, so my dad, he worked in the film industry as a sound designer, and one day he was carrying equipment, and he tripped on some cables, as you do on a film set. They were supposed to be duct taped to the floor, but in his case they weren't. And he was holding, like, I think 150,000 euros in his hands or something like that. And he was so afraid of it, he fell on his face rather than on the equipment, and he broke his nose. 'Cause, like, that's scary.
It reminds me of the Scotsman who fell down the stairs, and when he woke up, he felt something humid and moist on the floor, and he says, I hope that's blood and not my whiskey.
Oh, come on. Yeah, the price tag on equipment for filmmaking, it can be quite terrifying.
Yes, but someone knowledgeable with $5,000 worth of equipment can do more than an ignorant with $5 million of worth
Well,
of
we've
equipment.
seen Hollywood movies, like, I think it goes without saying that part.
But this is true in any field.
Yeah.
Right, so you can have the greatest laser surgery machine. If you don't know what to do with it, it does not operate by itself. It doesn't diagnose by itself. It won't do anything. It won't treat anyone by itself. So you need someone skilled enough to operate it.
Mm.
Well, maybe a simple analogy is with computer games and peripherals. Like you can play a racing simulator with a gamepad, but then you're not getting full control of the car, and you don't get a very simulation-y experience. You don't get a proper simulation. But then you add in steering wheels and pedals and clutch and shifters and so on, and then you can have better results and higher performance and a higher degree of simulation. But you need to understand how to use the better hardware in order to get significantly better results. Otherwise, it's just a waste. It's just having them doesn't do you any good. Well, I want to ask you something about the mod that you're working on. So,
Yeah.
when is the Ghibli Town mod coming out?
This is something that people ask me all the time.
When it's ready?
Where is it? Is it done yet? Is it done yet?
Are we there yet?
I mean, I'm doing my best, guys.
Well, for 16 years, when people asked when is Duke Nukem Forever coming out, the answer was when it's done.
I'm trying to be nicer than that. We have, let's see, we have the main map pretty much done. We have a couple of NPCs done. We finally have Howl, which has been a fan favorite. The ladies are crazy for him.
Okay. Will you have new fish in Ghibli Town?
Yes, so, let me finish the first sentence. So we have the maps for the entry quest done, pretty much. I need to test them that you can actually walk around. And then Trent, my collaborator that does the coding for it, he needs to, like, do all of his magic to make sure that the how should I say, the quest is working. So you're gonna have a cauldron that you're going to have to repair and then mix a magic potion. And then once that is done, you'll be able to do the quest to enter the town. And that will be, I think, phase 1 of the mod. So we kind of have like the bare bones of the mod.
So what quests do you plan to have in the end?
So there are a lot of quests we want to have. It's a bit more of a complex question. So we want to have the entry mod quest. Then all the NPCs are gonna have some quests, you know, to befriend them. We're gonna have the one where you rescue or help Chihiro, because Yubaba is like the only serious villain we have. For those of you that don't know the Ghibli films, Yubaba is this evil witch and she has the bathhouse. Let me just switch over to tile to show you guys. Let me open the Ghibli main, so this is the bathhouse from Spirited Away, and that's where like Yubaba is gonna be, and Chihiro, so that will be a quest. And then there are a lot of smaller quests we want to do. I don't know if the coding will allow for all of those, but I'm so glad that the community is so active and vibrant, and there are more and more support mods for it. So even if there's something we can't do now, we talk with other modders, other programmers that know how to do C# better than Trent, and obviously I don't do any coding, so better than me by default.
Besides Howl and this villain, how many other
Baba.
NPCs are you adding?
Well, at some point we had this stupid number of 80, and Trent told me to tone it down. It was like, the map's not gonna work, even if we split them between maps.
Okay.
So at the moment, it's Trent, it's Ariete, it's Hall and Sophie, it's Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service, and there's me. So, oh, and Miyazaki. So there are currently 7 NPCs in the mod, and we're probably gonna have at least 20. Cause we'd also plan Nausicaa. Oh, Kirani is in the. So it's 8 NPCs at the moment.
Out of 80. 10%.
I don't know, because a lot of them maybe will turn into just companions or something like that to make it easier. Like, we want to have tourists, so those aren't going to be regular NPCs. They're going to be non-friendable NPCs, and that's going to make it easier on the coding and the map.
Are you going to add Porco Rosso?
Yes, Porco Rosso. Let me show you his airplane hangar here.
And can you use the airplane to travel around like the donkey or things like that? Maybe
donkey?
Not.
What donkey?
Horse.
We're actually gonna have the cat bus from my neighbor Totoro. Here it is. So that's gonna act as quick travel. I think at the moment it will be just like the mine carts, so I think it's good enough.
Can the witch use the biplane?
I don't think, to my understanding, NPCs can only use regular warps. So if it's like going from one map to the other, they can do that, but they cannot use the bus. They cannot use
the rail carts and things like that.
Yeah, the boats, they cannot use them. They can do this in the game, the vanilla game, Stardew Valley. So they go from Pelican Town to Ginger Island using Willie's boat. But as far as I know, you cannot do this within mods because there's not a support mod that allows the NPCs to use other than the regular warps.
Nothing like the bus from the vanilla game. The bus that would take you to the desert, which was driven by
The
an NPC?
NPCs, that's different because she doesn't actually go there.
She just
She's just a
vanishes.
texture.
Okay.
Yeah, she's just a texture. So, for example,
Mhm.
if you teleport back, she's
Ah.
gonna be there next to the bus.
Okay.
And if you teleport back to the desert,
She's in the bus in the desert.
no, yeah, she's in the bus. She's not next to the bus. So the
Mhm.
NPC stays in Pelican Town. Pam, she stays
Mhm.
next to the bus there all day. And when you travel and you see her face on the bus, that's just a texture.
I see. Well, maybe some tricks like this can be used also with these mods.
No, the issue is a bit more complicated. For example, at the Winter Star Festival in Pelican Town, you have NPCs joining, and you can have them spawn there during that festival. For example, Madam from our mod Mermaid Island shows up there, but she spawned. She doesn't actually use the boat like the player does.
So instant spawning.
Yeah, that's what I understand happens. Again, I'm kind of not very good at it. If you guys want to know more on the spot coding stuff for Stardew Valley, then just join whenever I stream with Harvey. He works on the Downtown Zuzu mod, so he joined me last stream. He might join us again, so if you want to ask him questions, be sure to follow when he is able to join, because he is a programmer, unlike me. And actually deals with programming for Stardew Valley. My husband, he's doesn't code for Stardew Valley. He codes for
Work for the government.
No, I mean like for servers, for server farms. That's what you usually do. So different stuff.
Large scale shell
Yeah.
model calculations. Nuclear structure calculations. Anyway, how much do you charge for your work?
What? That's not in the question list.
Oh, of course there is. How much for your art is one question.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes people ask me like if I'll do Stardew Valley art for them, and I do make art, pixel art, and you can find me on Fiverr, but I don't do any fan art, so I want to just make that clear. Like I'll do your farmer, like I'll draw I'll draw your farmer.
Pixelated.
Yes, pixel art style, but I'm not gonna do like Abigail or Penny or anybody else. Gotta stop using that expression. Because I don't own the IP, and I don't think it's okay to get paid for fan art anyway. I know some artists aren't upset with that, but I just think it's like a bit disrespectful.
And if someone wants art of your cat, will you do that?
What art about my cat?
Susie, how's she doing?
She's doing good. She's just getting fatter and fatter. I don't know if you've seen the latest videos about her, but she's starting to like roll over like a panda as a form of locomotion.
It works.
Somebody's been feeding her more than what the vet said.
What does the vet say?
He said, oh, like...
Con.
No, it was like very little food. I mean, I can understand why she's sad and cries next
She needs
to the...
comfort food.
Yeah.
In the pandemic, stuck at home, you don't want her to be depressed, do you?
No. My poor baby. My precious little fur baby.
So then, you dodged the question. Will you have new fish?
Yes, sorry.
In Ghibli Town.
Yes, we will have a lot of new fish, I think.
Big fish and begonia?
Yeah, that one is already in more new fish.
Yes.
But we will have 80 fantasy fish, like dragon water creatures from various cultures, and then another 20 real world fish. So it's Another
A lot
100.
of fish.
Another 100 fish. I think would be like 300 now. 150.
They can fight the Persians
Oh yeah.
if there's more than 300.
Yeah.
This
Oh.
is water.
Oh my gosh, I remembered Avatar: The Last Airbender. Such a great show. I'm kind of annoyed that they're gonna make a another live action adaptation.
Oh, by the way, um, the Microsoft Xbox team announced and they released their final version of backwards compatibility with Xbox, so the original Xbox. So you could play all sorts of original Xbox games on the newest Xbox hardware using some emulators and compatibility layers. And they just had their final release, and there are no updates after that one. So whatever list of games they have until now, that's the only one that they would update. And many of those games received all sorts of improvements and enhancements, like higher resolutions, higher frame rates, and so on. Now, to my disappointment, the Legend of Korra game,
Oh yeah.
Avatar. It was Avatar: The Last Airbender game from the original Xbox did not get any multiplayer enhancement, and I'm still bummed to this day, and I have no further hope of anything changing with that regard, and I'm still upset. You have a game with 4 independent characters
Yes.
on a console with 4 controllers with 4 ports, and you
Yes.
cannot do co-op, neither on network nor local co-op.
The Betray. Oh,
Yes,
the
and that was
Betrayal.
actually the best Avatar game uh, that I know of. The other Avatar games and the Legend of Korra game, they
I
were
was
not that
so
great.
hyped about that. Do you remember me? I was
Yes,
just running around the house, tap dancing.
yeah. Well,
I'm
I
sad.
just wanted a multiplayer update for the original one. Did not happen.
Why do they hate multiplayer? Like, do they think gamers have no social life? They just sit in a
Maybe
basement and
they
they're
thought
not
that
married?
anime fans have no friends. I don't know.
No, it's not. There are plenty of games that start off as single players, and
Well, there's anime MMOs, so yeah. Come
come
on.
on.
I mean, that's not an argument. I was just joking, but
But I'm still upset. There's so many fun games, and it's not just that they're indies and oh, they can't afford to code for multiplayer and stuff like that. There's a lot of big games as well that just start as single player and never move past beyond that.
well, there's also games that are only multiplayer but not local co-op.
That's another issue. Why
Yes,
wouldn't you do that?
I don't know. I mean, cooperative playing is a staple of gaming since the very beginning. You'd have co-op games going back to the arcade before the original NES and Sega Master System and so on. And those consoles, when they launched, they had 2 controller ports at least.
Hmm.
You had 4 on Nintendo 64, PlayStation, and so on. But the original Xbox, in my opinion, was a great system. It had plenty of horsepower and provided 4 controller ports. I have mine with 4 controllers. Mine is modded to have a 750 gigabyte hard drive instead of the original one with 8 gigabytes. And I wanted easier access to my home network for multimedia purposes and so on. But that's besides the point. 4 controllers were standard, so 4-player local co-op games is a no-brainer, and especially if you have a game with 4 characters,
Yeah.
and those characters could not be outside of the screen. So if you remember,
Yeah.
they had to be
I
in
thought it
screen.
was weird that because it didn't seem like they ever planned to make it a multiplayer either. Because I can understand,
Well, actually, to me, it seemed that being always in screen was specifically a limitation that would enable local co-op and not have anyone dropped behind the screen.
so
So
you think maybe at some point they would have wanted that, but they
I
just
think they
never.
started wanting it to be a 4-player co-op and did not have time to finish that part. That's my speculation on the topic.
You think they got like.
Release the game or never get paid.
Hmm.
I think so.
And they gave them like a really bad timeline as well.
Maybe it took longer to finish the game in the first place. I don't know what happened there, but it seemed like it was designed to be a co-op game, and that never materialized.
Hmm.
That's what makes it even more sad for me. Otherwise, if this were not the case, I think that there'd be no issue in having whatever character lag behind and then come into the screen, for example. But no, they were bound to be always displayed on screen, all 4 at the same time. You couldn't move a character outside of the screen without the others moving too.
I think it makes it less tragic if I hear that.
No, because it was so close.
Mm.
Maybe if they were given 3 months, 6 months, something, it would have been the best
You-
Avatar game.
You think that because it didn't have the sales they wanted, they just didn't pay for that and it just got abandoned?
No, I don't know what happened there, but I was speculating that they had a deadline for the project.
Mm-hmm.
That meant that all the salaries and the expenses were calculated to last a specific amount of time
Mm-hmm.
in correlation with the funding, and then they couldn't pay their staff anymore if they hadn't released the game on time and start getting money from the sales. I don't know what contract they had, but it seemed so close to a
Yeah,
multiplayer
to me
experience.
as well. It's been so much fun. I would have loved to play it with you.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of sad, sit at the sideline and be like, yay, go husband. Kicking their butts.
Oh well, that's the way it is, and probably due to or maybe that's specifically the reason why they couldn't change the game. Licensing rights with Nickelodeon and
Oh, come on, because
all the
it
studios.
had one word, like single player, and then to change it to multiplayer, you had
It's
to
not the
redo
same
the
game.
contract.
No, no. Phil Spencer is the name of the guy. I think I don't know. The
Guy who what?
Xbox chief.
Oh.
He said that they tried all the original Xbox games, all of them, and they couldn't bring them to the new console, either due to having to put too much effort into a specific title and technically it would not run as desired, or there were licensing problems and they couldn't legally bring the games onto the new system with enhancements. So seriously, because the original game, oh, and also licensing reasons for music.
Oh.
So once you enhance the game, it is no longer that version.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's no longer that version, you need to have all the parties agree to the new version. And some don't. So
For
that was
what reason?
greed. It's always the reason.
So annoying.
Well, this shows you one of the problems in the industry today. You buy a product, then the hardware changes. You want to use your product on the new hardware, and you can't. And legally, they were not required to allow you to run on anything else than the original hardware. They say you have the DVD, yes, put it in an original Xbox. It runs fine. They haven't promised you anything else besides that. So years later, when you may not be able to find the original hardware, broke down, whatever
Yeah.
the reason is, you can no longer enjoy those titles. And emulation is a still debated topic, uh, and mainly because of corporate greed. If corporations do it, it's fine. If Nintendo does it, it's fine. If someone else does it, then it's piracy.
Oh, that whole story with
No, it's all stories. It's not one story.
yeah, I mean, what I'm remembering, the one where
They copy the cracked version.
yeah.
Yeah. Then it was good, but they did shut down that website.
Yeah, so they shut down the website they stole from.
And then they sold the cracked version
Yeah, oh my
in their
gosh.
emulator. Oh well.
I don't understand how they don't feel any shame about it.
Well, they do. Then they wipe their tears with $1 million checks.
Yeah.
And it all goes away. It's fine now.
Oh.
Anyway, this Microsoft guy is in favor of legal emulation. He wants emulation to be legal, especially if you own the original game. So putting the CD in your computer and playing it on an emulator should be legal, and that should work.
Well, there's at least that progress.
Mm. Oh yes.
Oh my gosh. They stole the crack and sold it.
Well, the whole ROM, the cracked ROM. Mhm. Anyway, so is this Phil Spencer guy, the chief of Xbox.
Oh, good for him.
Mhm.
You gotta adapt.
Microsoft is a very interesting company. They do some things that you don't expect them to do so well, and then they annoy you with other things.
Which company? Sorry.
Microsoft.
Oh, Microsoft.
Yes.
I was focused on the grass here. I didn't hear you well.
So in terms of being pro gamer, they truly are pro gamer. And then they also contribute to open source software. Now owning GitHub, and they're also the biggest contributor on GitHub, bigger than Google, bigger than many others. And they don't get recognition for the good things they do, but then they also do really stupid things, like what they do with the latest versions of Windows. But if I think about it, there are always problems with Windows. Anyway, so there's this mixed feeling that you get dealing with them. So complex aspects of the many faces of Microsoft.
Welcome to adulting.
Well, I find Nintendo just greedy and evil, but that's my opinion. Being so litigious about everything, and then hypocritical when they do it.
What did they do?
Everything. No, they would block your content on YouTube if you're too critical of their games. Many times they would issue a copyright strike.
Wonderful. That's
Copyright
nice.
strike, not claimed content.
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, some stuff changed with Twitch as well that I'm not too happy about. They always say like, oh, we're trying to obey the law, blah blah blah, but it's kind of hard to believe when it seems to affect them positively financially. like the change that you can only stream on Twitch and no place else. You have to, if you want to put the same content somewhere else, you have to wait 24 hours. So that's why I kind of gave up on streaming on Twitch, because I was doing better on YouTube, and also I didn't like this rule they put in.
And for how long does Twitch keep your recordings?
2 weeks.
So it's pretty pointless for me, for example, because I don't go to Twitch. I cannot see all the content, right? So then it's kind of like a TV station that I don't care about. It's now or never. Yeah, it's not
I'm not sure what they were trying to do with that one. I have a pixel here that's very annoying.
Well, they minimize their costs and trying to maximize the profit, because they saw, even on YouTube and other places, if there's a channel with many subscribers, most of the viewers watch it within the first 2 weeks, and then there's very little percentage of people watching it. So they say, why deal with storing everything when we had our fill of money? So then they just don't care.
I mean, I can see it not being that an important issue for live streams. I would also maybe not care either if they were stored or not, because mostly it's just, it's free talk, it's not structured in general. I mean, there are people that do live streams that are structured, where they're having a discussion or a debate of some sort.
Well, it's not for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's live streaming is not for, I guess, for watching live streams, not for everybody.
No, I do watch live streams. I do watch older streams that were live at some point. I say that Twitch is not for me. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't really enjoy the experience on Twitch either. It's kind of hard for me to put my finger on it. Oh my gosh, this pixel is so annoying. Why? I need to lower it 2 pixels. Back into Photoshop. I don't know, it just seems annoying, because if you don't it's not gonna get saved. And kind of like it on YouTube, the recommendation algorithm and all of that. I think that would be the difference, because I don't think there's any watching experience difference between Twitch and YouTube. It's a screen and you're getting the content. So.
Well, I may just as well use any website like OBS Ninja, send people a link, and that's my channel, and nothing is saved, and anyone can watch it.
Yeah, I think the difference for me is indeed the algorithm and the storage. Let's see, save as.
At least on YouTube, I may discover some channel, watch their older content.
What the heck is going on? Is it the texture underneath?
It seems so.
No, it's water there. Look, no, it's not the water, so it's gotta be the what's on the buildings. Yeah. But why is it still showing up? How many pixels do I have to keep lowering this stuff?
5 more. Right.
No, what? I think 1 more should be enough.
I don't know.
It's weird. It's always annoying when there's like 1 pixel lost somewhere, and it's gonna be kind of in this area, I think. So yeah, I have 4 tiles, so it's kind of this one here should be, I think. Come on, if I save now, will you disappear?
Don't you have to re-add the tile?
No, I don't have to re-add the tile. It should have updated itself. Let me see. Did I save correctly? Save as. What is going on? the mysterious, and it's on the building tile. Let me turn off front. So I must have copy pasted the tile wrong. There we go. No, not on the.
Still the same.
No, the clone tool was selected. So it's on the buildings layer, and I want this tile here, copy pasted here.
Okay.
Yeah, because you see how it goes here. I have these three, and I copy pasted the one on the edge. So no matter how low I was going with it, it was still like showing up. Because I thought I was editing a tile that I wasn't.
But I told you it's more pixels lower than one. Yeah, it was a lot.
So you have there like 3 tiles, two for the edge, and one for the middle. And I was supposed to. I thought I was editing the middle, but it was the wrong one pasted there. So my edits were going somewhere else. And we're gonna have a lovely little cascade here. These textures are from Carmila's Immersive Farm 2 mod. She has since left the StardewValley community, but a long time ago when I was starting to work on this mod, I asked her to use the waterfall tiles and she agreed. Very nice person.
Speaking of nice person, will we have marriageable NPCs?
Yeah, so that is another question you guys often ask us. Yes. Usually people ask because they want to marry Hal. He is with Sophie, so we don't know exactly how we're gonna do that quest line. But I know for sure that Ashitaka is gonna be a marriageable NPC. He is from Princess Mononoke, and as far as I know, they kind of go their separate ways at the end of the film, so he's available. And the other NPCs like Nausicaa, Kiki, Ariete, like they're all underage, so no.
What about Porco Rosso?
Oh yeah, he's an adult. Yeah,
but he's a swine.
Oh, the furry community is gonna be happy about it.
He's a filthy pig.
He turns back human before he kicks the bucket. Which is kind of sad, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an adult. You can have Porco Rosso.
Said he turns back human before he kicks the bucket? Like all capitalist pigs.
Oh, come on, don't be... Keep the stream nice.
It is.
So I'm not gonna continue here at the pond, because I'm not sure where those trees are gonna go. Hopefully everything's gonna look okay and I won't need to move anything. If I have to change the map, is not a tragedy for me, but if I have to ask Trent to change the coding on the map, I'd rather not, because I'll have to be like, Trent, please, please move the map. I know I said I wanted it there to be the entrance, the warp tile, but I changed my mind and I need it to be moved, so I'd rather not have to do that, so he doesn't get angry at me. Be like, why did you move it again? Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't mean it.
I'm an artist. I get easily confused. But I really loving how this terraced thing looks. Like initially I wanted one terrace, but then I was like, let's add another and another. It's like, it's so pretty and very Japanesey. And I'm gonna have like some tea fields, you know, like they go up the mountain and you collect the tea. I think that would be really nice.
Collecting tea? Have you ever collected tea?
No, everything in Stardew Valley, come on, it's super easy and not very realistic. Like in real life, you would have to clean up after your cows, and nobody wants to do that. I mean, even in game, you wouldn't want to clean after your cows.
Maybe the next Red Dead Redemption will have
Realistic, yeah. Clip shoveling. Oh my gosh. Why?
well, you have to take care of your
Why?
horse
Why?
and
Yeah,
clean
yeah.
after it, and the dog, and
It's too much.
go with a bag after you.
It's too much. Come on.
It's part of the experience.
Mm.
In VR.
Mm. No.
Maybe we get smelly vision by then.
Do we need to?
No.
I mean, it's
We don't do many things. We do many things we don't need.
Yeah, I think that one's gonna always stay like an unrequested feature.
I don't know.
I mean, I would like smell-o-vision, you know, to go to the seaside or something nice, but otherwise, no.
Or a nice field of flowers.
Yeah. And then there's
Or a
always gonna be,
vineyard.
there's gonna be a movement for more realistic smells and war situations or something silly like that. And then they're gonna have smell-o-vision for war games and something like that. You know, why would you want it? How would you even do that? Like, because there was chlorine and stuff like that. I don't want to smell chlorine.
Mustard gas.
No, I don't want to smell that. I don't think I've ever played the war game, and I don't think I ever will. I just don't see the point of it.
Well, there wasn't much peace in Witcher 3.
Yeah, but I didn't.
Does it count as a war game?
I only wanted to play the
Blood and
Tucson,
Wine?
the Tucson DLC. Like, that was fun. And I would just go around. I went around and did some sightseeing in Tucson. I didn't fight much. Mostly because I got my butt kicked. Because I have motion sickness, so I couldn't actually play. I would just swing the sword with my eyes closed and hit some of the bad guys that way. Just cause
That's why you can't play My Time at Porsche.
Yeah,
They're launching a new game, if they haven't already.
Ooh.
My Time at Sandrock, I think, is the name.
Yeah, it should be nice.
Yes, another game, nice game that you can't play.
Yeah, but I'm happy that you guys are getting it, you know. Just because I'm suffering and I can't enjoy something doesn't mean that I'm not happy that you guys can. And my husband played My Time at Porsche and he really enjoyed it, so you would recommend it, I guess.
10 out of 10.
Nice.
It's like StardewValley in 3D,
Oh, that sounds so nice.
with less gardening if you don't want to. You can have the robot do the gardening for you.
Yeah, for those of you that don't enjoy it, I enjoy it. I don't have a problem with it.
But it's more resource gathering if you want, and you can fight as much as you like, but it's still more resource gathering than farming. So it's mining, it's more mining than farming.
Mhm.
But it's still cool, and the quests are good enough.
Yeah, I saw it. It seems so much fun. I would have
The
liked to play it.
progression is nice. I like it.
And it had some fun story about his dad that was an inventor or something. Are we still streaming?
Yes, we are, and we got a question.
Oh, good.
Well, no, sorry. It was
Yeah, I was testing the chat to
on,
see if it's still working.
sorry. I had the scrolling up.
Uh-huh.
No, we're good. No questions.
Yeah, it's Saturday night and people are generally more quieter. Like I said, Tuesday is a much more interactive, heavy day.
So Tuesday is stream night. Saturday is movie night.
I don't know if people still do movie nights. I would like to think they do. I mean, I've always enjoyed them. Oh my god, this is crooked.
As crooked as a politician.
Let me
Not
see,
that
what
much.
am I doing here? Like, I'm trying to get the colors. I'm trying to do a round train track in a pixel art game.
It's hard.
No, it's not. It's not that it's hard. It's
Pixel by pixel.
no. It's hard to simulate a circle with squares when you're so up close.
Oh well, haven't you played the original Tomb Raider?
Oh my gosh.
Squares, triangles, anything can simulate a circle.
If you're desperate enough, reminds me of that coconut on an island where pirates or sailors, they saw that coconut and they were like, oh, it's a woman.
Yeah.
And that was more round than what I have here.
Indeed.
It's so sad. But if you look from afar without your glasses, it's okay. Sort of. It's not that bad.
Allegedly.
Ah, I went over the screws. Okay.
Don't.
What are they called anyway?
Tracks or what?
No, the screwy things on a train track. The you put it in the
pikes?
the Sharpie things.
Spike.
Yeah, thingies.
Spikes. Railroad spikes.
Kuya.
No, they're called railroad spikes.
Railroad spikes, okay.
Like Spike the dog from Tom and Jerry.
That was such a fun show.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it. I don't know, the more recent animations, they just seemed like they were, I don't know, too... How should I even say it? They kind of lacked the charm of the old animations. And I don't think it was just the quality of the animators. I think the technology they used kind of limited them more, and making the characters as flexible as they used to be. I don't know. I think it's too much, that one.
Well, in Wasteland 2, there was a quest about a golden railroad spike.
In what game?
Wasteland 2.
Oh.
Like the original Fallouts, but newer.
Mm-hmm.
But built by some of the same people.
What other questions did we have to discuss? Sorry. Because I think the technical ones.
Well, you wanted to discuss about unrealistic minimum requirements in games at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then let me remember the other ones. Just a second.
So we don't forget to answer people's questions and
So
stuff.
it was about these minimum requirements, about gaming survival on the cheapo. Then something about Raja Koduri, formerly at AMD and now at Intel.
The gaming survival thingy, because it
GPUs
relates
and chips.
to StardewValley.
Price hikes in computer components,
Yeah,
now and historical,
we started talking about it with the
and some farming games.
with Stardew Valley requirements to play, but we went
Sure,
off
we
topic.
didn't go into those nonsensical requirements. So, in my opinion, yes, Stardew Valley requiring anything more than Windows XP and not working on Windows XP, sorry, it doesn't make much sense. But there were other cases too where uh, you'd have games requiring a faster video card, like I'm trying to remember. I think they required in Legends of Dawn something like a GTX 8800, but then it would run on Windows XP, so it wouldn't make use of the DirectX 10 features of that video card, meaning that you could just as well probably run it on a two generations older Radeon X 1950 or GT, an NVIDIA 7950, and it would run just as well. So sometimes the GPU requirements are higher in version of compatibility than the operating system requirement. There's no simple analogy that comes to mind, but there are some titles that would require sometimes a newer generation video card but an older generation operating system, where the newer generation with video card doesn't help you at all. So they might have just as well put an older generation video card in the minimum requirements too. And I will probably test this Legend of Dawn example that I looked at with an older video card than the lowest supported one and see what happens.
Cause I think we didn't announce very well the computer building series we want to do. So that's not going to be a live stream. That's going to be videos, episodic. Um,
Well, maybe we'll do some live stream building,
mhm.
but then the testing will be offline and we'll condense the results so the viewers can get most information in a more reasonable amount of time than waiting through all the benchmarks on every specific platform. Um, this way we can do side-by-side comparisons in the same window of different specs,
Mhm.
one versus another, so we can go through the information much quicker. But the building itself, it might not be such a bad idea to do it in real time in streaming.
I think it'll be hard for people to follow because on live streams people just come and go. They don't follow 2 hours live stream.
Well, sometimes if I missed half an hour or something, I would play back, and then I would be
Yeah,
delayed.
I would too. But I think it's faster and easier to do like videos that are edited.
Sure, but then the stream can stay
Yeah, I
there
know.
or can be chopped and re-edited.
Well, we'll see what we do exactly. We're not saying no to anything. Um, but yeah, that's what we have planned to show you guys how to make some computers from old stuff. Cause you know these days it's so expensive to get computer parts. It's just crazy, and a lot of people don't even know how to do it, which makes it like extra hard. Like you have to learn this stuff.
But then
And
computer gaming has a very long history,
mhm.
and well, you're not going to play maybe the latest games from the last 10 years, but you have 30 other years of games available to you, of which many games are pretty good. So building an older computer to play those older games is not such a bad idea, especially if you do not already have a new computer
Yeah, like the
that could
reason
do
I
it.
wanted to do it is because I have a lot of people that for some reason bought a console instead of a desktop or something that supports Windows, and now they want to play mods. Not just mine, but well, they
Hmm.
want to play Stardew Valley mods, and they can't, and they're crying in my comment section. And I was thinking maybe you can do something to help them, like
Well,
how can you scrounge up stuff?
originally I was thinking of covering computers from 1995, up to 2005. That means basically going through Windows 95, 98, and then Windows XP. But since I have the components up to date, I can look even closer in time. Let's think of something like Windows Vista and Windows 7 on Intel Core 2 quads or AMD Phenoms and FX computers, maybe some early i7s and the likes, and we'll see. And that means we can have even more builds than initially planned for, where you could see the limits of those systems in terms of how old and how new games perform on them, or which are the oldest games that still run natively and which are the newest ones that you can still play. Mainly we'll build a platform meaning motherboard, memory and CPU, and on that platform we'll test several operating systems and several video cards. You may not always have the latest video card for that platform. You may have something mid-range, and then we'll try to match it with something mid-range. We will see several combinations, and depending on the results, people may revive old computers or may even build sort of a new computer but from old parts from their friends, family, or eBay or Craigslist, whatever. There's certainly a lot of content that can be enjoyed on a 10-year-old computer, on a 20-year-old computer even. Uh, there's a lot that's worth playing. And hopefully the component market will come back to its senses. But until then, it's also a good opportunity to try and see the good titles from the past. Obviously, there's a lot of junk, but there's also good games that should be revisited.
Age of Empires.
For example, I was also thinking of the somewhat newer XCOM games and Fallout-like games, turn-based RPGs, um, farming games, real-time strategy games, simulations, either cars or airplanes or boats or whatever.
So yeah.
Probably will be avoiding 3D shooters unless it's something
Yeah.
iconic that
Mhm.
is put there as a benchmark.
Mhm.
For example, Quake 1, Quake 2, Quake 3.
Can it run Quake or Doom?
Well, those serve as benchmarks usually.
I'm still bummed out we can't do a Can it run Stardew Valley version.
Well, we'll do it.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll
yeah.
do an episode.
Yeah,
Can it
yeah.
run Stardew
Yeah.
Valley?
But
we already
it's
know
not
the
as
answer.
yeah, it's not as versatile, I would say, as like Quake and Doom. Like those can work on all kinds of things. We cannot make Stardew Valley run on a smartwatch, though.
No, the problem with Stardew Valley is that it's not open source. You don't
Mhm.
get to do any source ports of it. If the source files were available, you could probably
What's a
compile it.
source file?
The programs before being compiled, the code itself,
Uh
the
huh.
C sharp in this case,
Uh huh.
code and whatever other code
And
may
if
be.
you pull the stuff out of the XMB files, you don't
No,
get
no,
it.
no,
Mhm.
no. No, you need to create the executable file,
Uh huh.
and that's already created for Windows, Android, and the
Mhm.
consoles. Um, yeah, I don't see the reason why it needs Windows Vista, but it does.
I'm now because Concerned Ape is very nice and he's always on like on Twitter and things like that and answering people. So I'm kind of tempted to ask him for it, but he
No,
probably
no, he
cannot.
cannot give it to you.
Yeah.
But people could ask, but it might be pointless, for a Windows XP compatible build.
Mhm.
He could probably do that,
Without getting into trouble with his publisher and
and
all
not only that,
console
but
makers
without
and.
changing too much in the code. There's obviously something that needs to be changed, something that is linked to DirectX 10 or Windows Vista, that is no longer the case for the console part. So he has a different
Yeah.
build for
Well,
the consoles.
the 2 hours are done, so we should probably save this
Well,
discussion for
yes,
next time.
for the Can It Run Stardew Valley.
Well, I'm gonna stream again, just not next week,
Sure.
but we'll keep this on the list and expand on it maybe in the future.
Well, thank everyone for watching then,
Thank you, thank you.
and we'll see you soon, meaning that you will see us,
Hear us.
hear us.
Maybe see our hands when the building the computer.
Video killed the radio star.
Bye bye.
Bye
Take care,
bye.
everyone. Thank you for watching.